So it's a little bit late, but I wanted to talk about the 3 books I finished in the month of March. If you want to know how I kind of go through books, normally I have 1 or 2 different books I'm reading good old-fashioned paper book form of, and then in all my free time, I'm listening to audiobooks off of Audible. All 3 of this month's books I listened to off of on Audible, and then I'm going to have 2 paper books that I finished in the month of April. Fingers crossed. If you don't have an Audible account, you can sign up for a free trial and get a free audiobook at the link down below, audibletrial.com/SeanChandler. If you sign up for that without paying any money, just doing the free trial, it actually does help me out. So if you want to know how you can help my channel, sign up for a free trial for Audible. And I am a huge fan. I have like 75 different books in my account. Huge fan of their stuff. With that said, let's get started talking about books. The first book that I finished was Damon John's Rise and Grind. He's one of these sharks on Shark Tank, and he invented FUBU. And so he's put out several different books like this. Essentially what he does is he collects other people's stories and puts them in his book and kind of tells their story of success, both motivational, about hustle, about the grind, all of that fun stuff. And that's what this book was, essentially. It was him kind of sharing, I don't know, about 10 different people's stories of how they rise and grind every day and how they were successful, not by just having it handed to them, but by kind of working hard, working the system, continuing to learn, and trying to be the best version of themselves that they can be. I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about these types of books because they don't really have a central premise throughout it. It's just a bunch of different people's stories kind of being told in short form. And so you kind of can't dig in deep into the lessons. And I'm a person that I like the practical steps, ideas, putting it out there with stories, but at the core of it, the ideas, the practical applications and ideas with the story illustrating those ones as opposed to the story itself being at the core of it. I hope that one of these days, Damon Johns puts out a book that's not telling 20 people's stories, but instead him just telling his story and the lessons that go along with it in that format a little bit better. I got the book cheap on Audible because every month they have sales, and so I bought the book for under $5. One more plug for Audible. But so I picked it up for that reason, hoping it would be a little bit more of his story, and then it was another one that was a compilation of other people's stories. But, still had some ideas in there that were a little bit motivational for me. Next up, a book that was exactly the thing that I described called Eat That Frog. Now, it's not a book actually about eating frogs. It's a book basically on how to get the most important thing done. And it's like each chapter is really short, and it's 21 simple ideas on how to eat that frog. And the idea of eating that frog is, what's the thing that you need to do that you keep procrastinating? That thing that will kind of move the needle, but you don't want to write that email. You don't want to have that hard conversation. You don't want to sit down and write that paragraph. Whatever that thing is you don't want to do that would move the needle a little bit, Eat That Frog. 21 practical ideas on how to get that done every single day. Real short book. They're not long chapters. The audiobook itself it's like 2 hours long, 2.5 hours. Very short audiobook, in which case, very short book, but 21 practical ideas on how to defeat procrastination and make progress. And so much so that I've actually started to use Eat That Frog as language as part of my daily planning. So right now, one of the things that I'm doing is that I started to actually map out my days in advance because I'm trying to be more productive, hence going through a book like this one. And one of the things I write in there is Eat That Frog, and I'll have a block of time where every single day I want to do something that makes me uncomfortable. Write an email to try and get an opportunity that I don't like sending those types of emails. So every day I think I should do it and start trying to build opportunity. And just since doing that, as a simple story of that, trying to do that daily hustle, that's the thing for me that I'm not good at, the daily hustle, trying to work for opportunities and stuff like that. I got added onto the press list for Disney movies, something that I tried to send an email about 9 months ago. It's been literally a 9-month process of getting onto this list. And then I hadn't been able to get in on Captain Marvel. I hadn't been invited for Pixar movies and Disney movies over the last 9 months. And so I just looked for different emails, sent them, and I was like, I got to eat that frog today. I got to send that email today. I got to do it. And got the email to the right person to get added onto the list. So 2 days from now, Wednesday, I'm going to go see Disney's Penguins because I've been added onto the Disney list, and fingers crossed, that means I'm going to be added onto the Avengers Endgame list a week or two from now. But it all came back down to this eat that frog principle of just putting a couple practices in every single day to do that thing that I don't want to do. Next book that I finished, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So I started last fall trying to slowly work through the Harry Potter books. And so now I've obviously made it through 3 of them. This one is a little bit more difficult to get through than the first 2 because I don't drive a truck for a living anymore. I'm at home, and going through a lot of kind of these productivity type books, you can do like a chapter at a time and still have the flow of it because the ideas still work. It's a lot more difficult with a narrative nature book to do that in kind of these small little trunks and little car rides and things like that. And so it's a little bit more difficult. So I didn't connect with this book as much as I did the previous 2 because of the way that I listened to it. And so I think the movie itself was a good adaptation, whereas the first 2 books, I think that they're just such long movies for such short books that there's a little bit of struggle inside of it. And so this book didn't pop out to me as much as those 2 did a little bit. I had to give my kind of quick take on it. But so that's a movie comparative thing too. So that the nature of the story of this one is more focused. And so there's a lot of great things about it. But because of the way I listened to it and because of my experience, so much experience with the movies, this one, whereas the first 2 books, I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of really neat things in here that I missed inside of the movies. Here, it was just like, oh, the movie's still really cool. Was kind of my takeaway as opposed to big new insights from the book itself. So those are the 3 books that I finished. Remember to try out that trial down below. It really does help me out if you click that link and sign up for free. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and books too much.